Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Showdown live before live. We got a good game on our hands today. Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles. Cold as the Dickens out there, Spags. A little 28 degrees kickoff. Man, this is football weather.
It's football weather here. We are not, the game is not being played in the state of Pennsylvania, but it was 35 when I was picking up my kid. And I am not a fan of that being daycare pickup weather, but it should make for a crisp football game. Hopefully one that still see some nice passing going. That's what I'm hoping for today. And Lofty, the good news for us in the Pennsylvania area, I think we'll still get the Eagles game locally because I'm a YouTube TV subscriber, so I wouldn't get it otherwise.
You are a YouTube TV subscriber or you aren't?
Yeah, I am. So I'm blocked out on ESPN, but because it's a local game, I think we'll still get it on local TV.
We better, man. I actually meant to look at that because if I don't, I'm going to be pissed. I may just on principle cancel YouTube TV. You think I'm joking? I'm not. No, they're offering me a $20 credit. Say, all right, it doesn't help me, man. I wonder if it better be on.
Well, it's because ESPN is like fleecing these companies and like they know this time of year you have college football going on. Obviously, you have some Monday night games. The Cowboys last week, they thought it was going to be one of the big lever spots to kind of make YouTube TV pony up. But YouTube basically is like anything they'd pay to ESPN, you kind of have consumers getting passed back to. So I don't ever want to defend Alphabet, the $1 trillion company, against like the $1 billion Disney companies. But I do think, from what I understand, YouTube TV is like fighting the righteous fight right now, whereas ESPN just trying to, post-stage capitalism us to death.
I understand that, but also figure it out. No, I hear you. I get what you're saying. It's just, come on. We got to get these games. So I hope it's on today. That would really suck if it isn't, man. But we'll see. Someone, let's see. Here we go. Can we watch it anywhere? I don't know. Someone in chat's going to let me know for sure. Do you have a TV in front of you that you can just like check?
I only have YouTube TV on my browser. I don't think it's going to be on there.
Well, it would be still on YouTube TV. It would just be on like.
Well, no, actually, you know what? It wouldn't be because they don't have ABC on YouTube right now. So you'd have to have an over-the-air antenna. Actually, is what it would be.
So then we can't watch it.
No, I suppose not. If you're a YouTube TV subscriber, I don't think you can watch it.
Even so what were you just saying?
I thought, you know what? I was 2 steps ahead, and in reality, I was actually 2 steps behind.
All right, so
we can't watch it other than illegally, which there are places that you can do so.
I'm gonna do the free week trial of Sling TV or whatever that shit is.
Yeah, there are day passes for that too, I think.
Like I'll do the day. I don't care. Yeah, I'll do the day pass. I'm watching this football game. Anyway, no one wants to hear you and me bitching.
No, let's do another hour on this. Let's not even talk about the DFS slate.
All right, guys, enjoy the game. We'll catch you back here on Thursday night. Happy to have you guys with us. It's a fun game. Like genuinely a fun game. One where I'm having a really, really tough time. So you think of it this way, Spags. You have a Packers team, just to kind of set the table here. Plan B Series Lafayette, can you shout me out randomly throughout the show? There it is. So you've got this Packers team that's coming off a brutal loss at home to the Carolina Panthers. You got an Eagles team that's coming off of a bye week, right? They get Nolan Smith back. Brandon Graham makes his big debut, his re-debut. This team is largely healthy outside of the absence of Cam Jurgens. Meanwhile, Tucker Kraft is out. And then, you have no Matthew Golden today either. Savion Williams will play. Same with Dontavian Wicks. But still, Spags. Everything on paper, you're like, oh, man, this looks like an Eagles game. But then you look and the spread is still Packers -1.5. Like, they're still short favorites here. This is if you know anything about football, if you've bet football enough, if you've watched football enough, teams coming off of bad losses, particularly pretty good teams that are banged up, when everyone expects them to come and have another loss hung on them, odd things happen, like the 49ers Rams just last month. It happens all the time. So I put nothing past either team. Eagles on paper look good, but the Packers, if they won this game, and they are short favorites, would not surprise me even the slightest bit.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. This game was a pick'em for most of the week, and I think that kind of, it represents the lack of confidence that the market's had on either side. But yeah, Green Bay, I guess more late money coming in. Seems like the Packers a little bit more liked. I will say, looking at the numbers here, of course, every week, I sweat the EPA metrics more than anybody out there. Philadelphia's defense, they made some trades at the deadline there, tried to make some moves. I'm sure Laffy more attuned to those than I am and the things that they had that were needs. But I look at this defense on paper and it's not particularly good, or at least was, before the bye week. Things can come together a little bit more for the Eagles. But overall, giving up a 0.06 EPA per dropback, 0.07 EPA per pass, really bad versus the run is this Eagles defense right now before, the guys are getting back in and whatever changes they're making in that group. But, a 0.06 EPA per rush allowed is pretty bad. For comparison's sake, everything Green Bay, negative EPAs across the board, including in the red zone, even QB runs, which are generally one of your more efficient plays. In terms of EPA metrics, Green Bay's defending those well too, with a negative 0.01 EPA per QB run. So I think for Philadelphia, on paper, to me, the Packers, less talent on that offense. But I think the Packers offense should find more success just based on the fact that Philadelphia's defense maybe not that great. Packers defense lost to the Panthers, but still didn't give up a lot of points or anything.
No, they did give up a lot of points to Arizona and to the Dallas Cowboys. And they give up 40 to the Cowboys.
Yeah. And endless dropbacks for Dak were not good for Green Bay in that game.
Look, I don't disagree that this Eagles defense has some warts, but I also think they're better than some of the previous games that we've seen as well. You still have a defense that I think the addition of Jalen Phillips could actually be noteworthy. First of all, the Eagles are not bad at generating pressure. They've been bad at getting sacks, but Jalen Phillips was with Vic Fangio in 2023 when he was the DC over in Miami. And that was Phillips' best season. He had 6.5 sacks before he tore his ACL. I do think and then you bring in Michael Carter. Einsteinium asked, who's going to be on the outside? Will it be Ringo? Well, here's the thing. It might just because it's not, they might have brought Michael Carter in and they might end up playing Cooper DeJean outside opposite Mitchell. That's a realistic possibility that Cooper DeJean gets more outside work here with Michael Carter. So I really don't know the answer, Spags, but it is an odd situation because they brought in multiple guys on defense and they get Nolan Smith back and you get Brandon Graham back. This defense will actually look a lot more different than it did pre-bye.
I think it's one of those things to me where we kind of talk about the Ravens. We've done that on a few slates where it's like this Ravens defense, I feel like keeps getting totals that are saying that, the defense should be rounding in the form. They should be playing better. But ultimately every week, it's not really getting better. I'm with you conceptually that I think Philly is a very smart team, I think, in terms of how they're run. I'm not saying anything too brave here with how the front office approaches things. But I think the Philadelphia front office recognized that this defense was potentially a problem. And now they're hoping that they could solve it. But I would say through the first half of the year, the defense looks like it's not a Miami level problem. It's not bottom tier, but it's worse than league average in a way that, the Super Bowl contender you don't necessarily want to be as this week as they might be against Green Bay today.
All right. Well, it's an interesting game. I still expect Green Bay to move the ball, though. I do. I think they'll still move the ball. Jordan Love's still good. Greg and we can start here, by the way. And if you don't mind, take a second, atone for your sins this fine evening. Look, there's nothing that can bring you more luck and better health and a more fulfilling life than tapping that thumbs up down there. You may not notice it right away, but over time, it'll change. Remember The Secret? Remember that dumbass movie and thing? Remember The Secret?
Yeah, the self-actualization stuff.
When I was in rehab, they tried to get me to do that. And they're like, put a Lamborghini on the wall next to your bed. That'll work. I don't have a Lamborghini, by the way. But yeah, that was just looking at this. It's like we had this argument. No, actually, that's not true. Not an argument. It was a discussion where Greg doesn't want any Jordan Love at captain because if you put Jordan Love at captain, then you run into a situation where, in all likelihood, one of the pass catchers ends up being optimal at captain. However, I also think he could spread the ball around so much without Tucker Kraft in there that you could just see games from Watson, from Wicks, from Williams, from Jacobs and Wilson in the passing game, from obviously Romeo Doubs, that we've seen him do it before where he'll end up having a 300-yard passing game Spags, and it'll be like nobody has more than 5 targets. So I think that's in the cards, if nothing else.
I'm fully agreed with you. And I didn't get a chance to watch the strategy show this morning. So normally I like to get advanced to get some reads on Lofty's takes. I can learn how to parry him accordingly, come up with all the counterpoints. I didn't get a chance to today. And I'm disappointed in Greg to hear that, because I love Jordan Love on the slate. I think it's a nice spot for him relative to the projections, and the fact he's not going to be super owned. From what I understand, based on my splash play chat this morning, somebody mentioned that a site that used to have better tools than it does right now, but is still used by a good portion of people, had Jordan Love having only a 2% chance to be an optimal captain today. Like, if people aren't going to play Jordan Love, and people also are going to play a lot of Saquon, a lot of Josh Jacobs today, I think playing the passing games for both sides makes sense. But with Hurts, like, people are going to own Hurts. For Jordan Love, I don't think people respect him. And I agree with you fully that, like, the fact that there isn't a pass catcher besides Dobbs who has that obvious ceiling at captain, that probably means that if the pass game does hit, it flows through Love. The touchdowns are spread around, and then you have a bunch of guys who might make it in the flex. And it's actually easier to figure out which those guys might be, because Matthew Golden's not going to play today. So I think for Green Bay, I'm a big fan of playing Love heavy builds, but I think really whatever pass game the Eagles won or the Packers won, both sides' pass games just seem underowned to me.
I feel the same way. I really do. And I'm perfectly fine going Love plus, whatever you want, really. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I also like Josh Jacobs, though, and I'll pull the Sims up in just a second. But I don't have any issues with Josh Jacobs at captain. As a matter of fact, I like Josh Jacobs at captain quite a bit. If they do, in fact, say, you know what, we are going to try and run the ball. See, this game could go many different ways, but in 2 spots, like the 2 most likely outcomes would be they run the ball early and they run it with success and they stick with the run game. If that happens to be the case, then Josh Jacobs could have himself a great game. The guy, only Jonathan Taylor has more rushing attempts inside the 10, more rushing attempts at the goal line, and Jonathan Taylor has 47 touchdowns already. But Josh Jacobs hasn't been far behind, and he's going to get a lot of work. There's no doubt about it. So if it works, there you go. But even if it doesn't work early on, they're not going to go away from Josh Jacobs. And also, he has sneaky good pass catching upside. Like, there are games where you go, oh, wait, Jacobs had 50 receiving yards. He can do that. So it might feel like he could get phased out of a game. And yeah, he could, to the extent of he's not Christian McCaffrey or Jahmyr Gibbs, but he's also not Derrick Henry, right? Like, he's not Quinshon Judkins, who relies solely on groundwork and solely on touchdowns. He can do other stuff in the passing game.
Well, actually, I'll give you a fun fact here, which the fact that I'm segueing to this probably gives you the answer. Without Tucker Kraft out there, who do you think leads the Packers in target per route run?
Is it really?
It's Josh Jacobs, 25% target per route run.
Wow. Okay. I can't say I'm that shocked by it, because you're taking a bunch of good players off the field. So, yeah, I get it. Where are you at on Jacobs today? And not just where are you at on him, but probably better for the audience to say, yeah, how are you juggling like the Jacobs and Barkley exposures?
Yeah, I think the ownership being pretty close to even seems fair to me. I think the tough part I have with Saquon is that I think we just saw his ceiling before the bye week. I mean, they played the Giants. Saquon had the massive day going into that one. It made all the game theory sense of the world that Saquon would have an outlier day because of the fact that, like, the pass game for Philadelphia had just gone off after being such a squeaky wheel for so long. Saquon then was kind of complaining about his work overall, was facing a Giants team that gave up a ton of explosive plays. We've seen that every week. Teams beat up on the Giants in the run game. McCaffrey is same thing after that. But I think for the Eagles right now, I don't know that Saquon's as good of a play as people will think. And I think there's a lot of the field that's going to think that he got stuff right, got back on track, or the O-line created more yards before contact. And I'm not sure that's the case. And I'm not sure it's going to be a thing where Saquon is appropriately owned, as opposed to people immediately thinking that we're back to last year. For Jacobs, like Lofty mentioned, I mean, the red zone role is better right now than Saquon's. 4.8 red zone opportunities a game compared to 3.1. It's at the 10-yard line. Jacobs is getting double the amount of work almost, 2.6 per game compared to 1.9. So it's like a pretty decent workload overall for Jacobs. I prefer him. I think the home game too doesn't hurt. But mostly to me, I just feel like Saquon, right now the ownership projections are tight, but I think the field's going to want to jam Saquon in a lot because they just saw him be good again. I think they're dying for him to be good again.
I think so too. I'll say this much though. And this is, you'll find this interesting. Maybe you already read it, but one of the reasons they're saying the Eagles had a lot more success 2 weeks ago, they had a bye last week, but last week against 2 weeks against the Giants was that they actually ran a lot more plays from under center. Whereas before they became super predictable and they knew defenses knew that when they ran plays from under center, it was going to be a run play. And it isn't to say that they ran no run plays out of the shotgun, but they ran almost 40% of plays from under center. And Saquon and Tank Bigsby combined for 254 yards on like 23 carries. So, I do sometimes say maybe they figured something out. They are coming off of a bye as well, and they can't keep running Barkley into the wall like they did for the first 7 weeks of the season. I don't know the answer to it, but I do think there is actually a path for them actually figuring something out.
It's definitely possible. I would just say for me, like that Giants matchup is one that I would have circled in red for any running back, and that to me, like, yeah, like it's one of the best, running matchups you have in football right now. So yeah, it could be that they tweaked something and got better results. I think this would certainly be the good litmus test, but ultimately to me, if like Saquon's going to be really highly owned, I'd rather err on the side of thinking that perhaps they didn't figure it out, because I feel like the field, when they see that happen in one game, it's like, oh, they're back now. They've got it back on track. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't, but I think you might make more money as Saquon as one of the players you kind of peel away from a chalking lineup.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Between Hurts and Love, do you have a preference, or are you just essentially jamming both of these guys?
I'm jamming both of these guys. I personally prefer Love because I think that there is more tournament upside there, but practically I am playing more Hurts. Hurts is in 75% of my lineups, including captain. Love is in 60%. So like I tried to get more Love. I was more deliberate about getting Love at captain and how I was approaching that. But I mean, Hurts, the theoretical rushing stuff, the fact too that like, and it might be more of a last year thing, but when I don't play Saquon, I do want to play Hurts because I think usually Saquon not getting the rushing TDs means there's a higher probability that Jalen Hurts pushed one in, or you just ran in general a little bit better. So I'm not poo-pooing Hurts. I just think Love to me is going to be more of a priority. He is more of a priority because I just don't think people are respecting Love here. And I think they're going to respect Hurts and Saquon, more than adequately.
I actually don't even disagree with you, but I think it goes back to what we were saying. It's just, even though the Packers are 1.5 point favorites, doesn't it kind of feel like everyone is just assuming the Eagles, have this game locked up in an odd way? At least from a DFS perspective, it kind of feels like there's a lot of, and I get it, on paper, the Eagles do look better, but I'm not convinced that this game isn't, super competitive, which it should be. What's crazy? If the Packers, and sorry, if I'm looking away from the screen, I'm just finalizing these lineups and then I'm throwing the sims up, but I just wanted to get these in first. If the Packers lose this, Spags, they fall to third place in the NFC North. Like they fall because they have that tie. So they fall behind Detroit and they fall behind the Chicago Bears. If they win, they retain sole possession of first place. It's still, I don't want to say early in the season. It's not at the end. It's not do or die, but it's a pretty damn big game, especially knowing that the Lions still have to face the Eagles, and they face this whole division this year. So yeah, man, they face them next week. So I'm with you. I think it's a good spot overall. What about Emmanuel Wilson?
I mean, he got so many snaps last week. I mean, that was, I think, the closest the workload has been where, let me make sure I have these numbers right, but I believe Jacobs had 38 snaps last week. He had 38. Emmanuel Wilson had 20-something. Emmanuel Wilson had 21. Chris Brooks had 11. So the one thing that the coaches did say, like LaFleur said in one of his press conferences this week, apparently Jacobs is like the healthiest he's been. That's a part of why he had less work. If you assume, though, that he's not, super healthy and Wilson does get 20 snaps and Jacobs is like high 30s, that's a pretty good role for Wilson. I just worry Wilson seems like the one value that comes up pretty easily. Sims are giving you him above the field. I've seen him talked about across the industry today. He does come up in some industry-wide optimal projections as well. I think Wilson is a fine play and a little bit cheap for what the role is, but I think people might plug him in more than they should, given the fact that like would it shock you, Lofty, if you had 10 snaps today for Wilson and Jacobs took the role back and like you mentioned a do or die kind of spot? I don't think it would. So I don't want people to get too cozy for Wilson. And I myself did not get too cozy playing Wilson everywhere.
Dude, it wouldn't surprise me at all. As a matter of fact, last week, the bet lost, but I was on Emmanuel Wilson over rushing yards because I saw the trends with Josh Jacobs going into those games, against Arizona, where he almost didn't play. And then the following week against, I don't even remember who it was. Maybe it was just Carolina last week, and then Arizona the week before. I'm thinking, okay, and they're 13.5-point favorites. All of this lines up nicely, but Jacobs ended up getting a little bit more work. But it's nice to hear LaFleur say that, knowing that I wasn't totally on the wrong path. Like, there was actually something they were kind of nursing there. It just didn't work out. They ended up losing that game. They played terribly. But yeah, I actually have some interest in a 2% owned Tank Bigsby. And I mean, this might sound nuts, and I get it, but Tank Bigsby, last game, I understand the bulk of his production came after Saquon Barkley went down after tweaking his groin. I get all of that, right? But at the same time, he had 105 yards on 9 carries. A.J. Dillon stinks. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. A.J. Dillon is just not very good. And Will Shipley is fine, but then you get into a game like this and you say, all right, so Barkley tweaked his groin. Fortunately, they had a fortunately timed bye week, but he tweaks his groin, comes back. They're playing in now a true dumpster fire division with no Jaden Daniels. Washington has no shot. The Giants just fired Brian Dable. They have absolutely no shot. They compete each week, but they have no shot. And then the Cowboys are the Cowboys, right? Coming off an awful loss to Arizona. Would it not make maybe a little bit of sense to give Bigsby a little bit of additional work in there? He's not a bad running back. I don't know how much you give him, but I'll say this much. I'm not sure I agree with Bigsby being like, here, I'll pull the Sims up right now and see what the ownership is there. I'm not sure I agree with Bigsby being like 2% owned or something, and Emmanuel Wilson being 20%. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. So let's go to projections. We'll go to ownership. Wilson is going to be, did we up here? Hold on. Let me find Bigsby. We got it like 1.8% ownership, and Emmanuel Wilson at 28% ownership. That's a massive difference if Josh Jacobs is back to full health.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that for Tank, he looks good to start the year. I don't really get why Jacksonville gave up on him. It's a very small sample size, but Tank's missing about 47% of the tackles he's going against, which is incredibly high. It'll come down if he does get actual work at any point. But Tank's been pretty good. And for the Eagles, Lafayette, I'm sure you remember as well as anybody because you pay such close attention to the Eagles stuff. Beginning of the year, it did feel like they wanted to work Shipley in. Like, Shipley was getting a lot of work, having almost alternating drives with Saquon at the beginning of the year. And after a week where Saquon, obviously bye too, but where Saquon did touch up his groin, that could be something where you get Bigsby in a little bit more just to kind of keep Saquon on the safer side, especially given the fact this is not a do or die game for the Eagles. They, I think, should handily win the East no matter what they do today. So I'm with you on it. I think it is a pretty big discrepancy between Emmanuel Wilson and Tank. And, Tank has been really good. Emmanuel Wilson, I think, is okay, but Emmanuel Wilson is so just a guy. And I think because he keeps holding on to this job, because Marshawn Lloyd can't get healthy no matter what, people think that he's good now. And Emmanuel Wilson is not missing tackles, 2.4% avoided tackle rate. He's not really getting targeted some crazy amount. He is the most kind of generic guy in the world, I think, playing running back for the Packers. So, I think playing Tank over him, at least Tank's doing something this year when he touches the ball.
Yeah, and I don't think either of us would, and we'll get to these super chats in just a second, but I don't think, and appreciate them, I don't think anybody would argue. I don't think either of us is arguing that we should be projecting for Tank Bigsby for more fantasy points than Emmanuel Wilson. I'm just surprised that you're talking 1% ownership of the flex to nearly 30%. I mean, it's real. All it is just the ownership discussion here, Spags. And to me, it stands out, I think, a decent amount, knowing that they're the same price. Also knowing that Josh Jacobs, when fully healthy, has been a legitimate bell cow back too. Maybe not to the exact same extent as Saquon Barkley, but I'll tell you something. We've seen guys like Shipley get more or goal line carries than anyone in Green Bay is going to get behind Jacobs. It's few and far between, don't get me wrong, but you've seen more Kenny Gainwell get those type of, those things than anybody behind Josh Jacobs. So yeah, I was just surprised by the ownership there. It's a huge gap.
Yeah. I mean, and Tank for me does not come up at all in the sim. And I feel like, if you're going to get like Kylan Granson, I got 1% of Darius Cooper. I got 1% of Josh Wiley, got 1% of getting a lot of Grant Calcaterra and John Fitzpatrick. I think rolling the dice on a Tank would not be a crazy thing to do. I actually got Shipley and at least one lineup out of the top 150. And I did not get Tank. So Tank kind of a forgotten man. And yeah, like Laffy mentioned, he did run for 100 yards. That usually gets you something, a little bit more work on the way back.
Yeah. And you have Barkley coming off the tweaked groin as well.
Hmm.
I assume he's fine. They had a bye, but I don't know, man. Just an interesting way to look at this slate, if nothing else. All right, let's take some super chats, Spags. What do you say?
I love it. Oh my
Morgan.
God. Look at that basketball right now too. And there is some bad Pistons chalk on the NBA slate. And I hate it so much. This is a tough NBA slate today for Laffy. I know you're focused laser like on NFL right now, but my God, NBA, this is so many swaps and bullshit to play Ron Holland and he does nothing. I hate it.
That's fun. No, you're Pistons on the second of a back-to-back as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's like they have nobody playing today, and Ron Holland is the mega chalk, like 65% play. He's got 1.5 fantasy points, is what I'm seeing. So feeling good.
Oh, did they sit a bunch of guys? Because I know that they beat the Sixers last night.
Yeah, they're sitting. Tobias Harris is hurt. I mean, he was hurt yesterday too. Asar Thompson sat. The Stewart who sat yesterday too. But yeah, not great.
Morgan, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Jen's driving from Las Vegas to California to enter lineups. My man. Can we talk about Packers pass catchers behind Dobbs, Musgrave, Wicks, Watson? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We're going to do that right now. We're working through it. We still actually have a lot of time, right? Wanted to set everything up, give you the big guys, and then also some of the super cheap guys. We'll get into some of those other ones right now. So absolutely. And Ray, good luck to everyone tonight. That's all. Let's get it. Thank you, sir. That's some good karma right there. $10 super chat from Ray just to say thanks and good luck. Appreciate you, man. I may have to end the show 5 minutes early to get Sling TV.
You can't miss a minute of the game. You got to be ready to go the moment kickoff happens.
Or maybe I'll just do it while we're up against the final 5 minutes.
If you got your lineups in, I could stall so you could sign up for Sling. That's fine. Or you can show people how to do it, I guess. Can we get a promo?
You're not watching this, right? I bet he is. Oh, that's actually a good idea. This new Mac that I got has a pretty sweet screen mirroring thing. And there's also a new thing on StreamYard called Mars, where you can like stream different aspect ratios and stuff, but I don't think it's next to each other. Nah, we'll do it the right way. Caleb, just bootleg it. I did the streaming, like I've done that many times. It's clunky. You have to click around like 15 different pop-up ads for, I don't know, maybe I'm doing it the wrong way, Spags, but it's clunky. It freezes on me. It's never an enjoyable experience. And then I just get pissed off. I literally stopped watching Monday Night Football at halftime last week.
I get it. I will say there's Stream East is still alive out there. That's a good one. And does me speaking, not Stokastic. But that's one that I would recommend for people out there. Though I agree, it does buffer a lot sometimes. I actually pay for Sunday Ticket and I use the YouTube TV on my TV and I'll watch some bootleg games on my laptop and it is like so much worse quality. So I get it because you actually care about the game. For gambling, if the stream buffers a little bit, you don't care. If you're Laffy and you live and die by the Eagles, you probably care a little bit more.
Yeah, you're right. I have a VPN and a pop-up blocker, Caleb. I guess I'll just do it on my computer this time. Anyway, I thought they killed Stream East as well. I tried it last week and it wasn't working.
No, it's just a different URL. They have one thing. I mean, if you search it, it'll come up. But streameast.ga is what it is now. But they also have like if that domain ever gets seized, they have like a list of other domains that they can switch to. It's so funny because like the news covered it, Laffy, and like they covered it so half-assedly, as you know, the news likes to do.
Yes, I do. All right, well, that's good to know. Just in break in case of fire type of situation, I will. But yeah, so if you want to talk, we can talk about these Green Bay options as well. Looking at my exposures right now, I've favorited two uniques, 150 on here. Hold on, let me ban this scumbag real quick.
Oh, I got him.
And by scumbag, I mean bot. Don't worry. I speak of them as if they're people now at this point. It's getting bad. But all right, so we'll go to flex. Some of these guys are just going to objectively look good. Romeo Doubs does not have a great matchup. I honestly don't think it matters. He's still the top guy here. He was pretty much 1A alongside Tucker Kraft anyway, because Watson just came back and Reed's been out. So I like Dobbs. The one that I actually boosted, Spags, was Christian Watson. And I actually boosted him at captain a little bit too, because he feels like the type of guy that if I have him in captain in some lineups, it's very possible those lineups are just completely dead and it means nothing at the end of the day. Or the guy with the 23-yard ADOT through his first 2 games, who saw a significant uptick in snaps week over week and should probably not be very limited this week. It just feels like these are the type of spots that I want to take some shots on when you're down Tucker Kraft, when you're down another potential deep threat in Matthew Golden. I like Christian Watson today as my YOLO, and I know not YOLO because it's not like he's unowned, but he is relatively expensive. He's one of my favorite options in the passing game for Green Bay.
I'm with you entirely. I mean, I've always been in the bag for Watson, and now it's definitely a different stage of his career where he's not going to be a number 1 receiver at this point, I don't think. And even going back to last year, like it was Romeo Dobbs who was traveling to work with Jordan Love in the offseason. Christian Watson was so focused on his recovery or whatever. They didn't make that same connection, and Dobbs has become the safety blankie who, as Laffy mentioned, like is playing so much. Dobbs is playing 54 snaps per game, running 28 routes per game. But what was encouraging last week is that Watson played over 40 snaps. And frankly, for a guy who's been so hurt, and last year when he came back from injuries was like bubble wrapped up where he was barely playing, coming back in those games, for him to play over 40 snaps last week when Golden was healthy, Wicks was out, but they played him a lot. I think it's a good sign for now Golden being out. And for whatever flaws Watson may have, Laffy pointed out the high ADOT. It is crazy. He's averaging 24 yards per catch, 23 air yards per attempt, 1.5 deep targets a game. He's running hot on him right now as a 1.3 EPA on those deep targets, but he's getting that work. I think that there's nobody else on the team who takes Matthew Golden touches away. Those become Watson routes, I think, immediately. Wicks will be out there, but he just isn't fast enough to do that kind of stuff. So Watson, I'm on the same page as you. I did plunk him in more in the field at captain, also boosted him in the flex. I think really if you play any pass catcher who's not Dobbs today, you're going to be more unique for it because everybody knows that Dobbs is like the one safe Packer out there, and he does project well and he comes up easily. But if you hit like on a Packer stack and it's not with Dobbs, I think you're away from a very large portion of the field today.
I do too. Einstein, do you expect Mitchell to be on Dobbs? I mean, Vic Fangio doesn't shadow all that often, but yeah, I expect him to see a lot. I mean, even since Jaden Reed went down and Jaden Reed was primarily a slot guy, Dobbs is still running 81% of his routes outside. So, I mean, yeah, Spags, unless you see something I don't, I would still anticipate a lot of Quinyon Mitchell on Dobbs today, just knowing that he is their number 1. He's their de facto number 1.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as far as I know, Mitchell doesn't go into the slot too often. I mean, most cover corners don't, barring extreme.
Well, and he doesn't need to because you have Cooper DeJean.
True. So, yeah, I mean, Dobbs right now on the year has had 28 slot targets, 24 out wide, but I think the route shares would look pretty similar in terms. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I presume they'd be pretty similar for Dobbs, being out wide a little bit more, but getting targeted less when he's in the slot. As everybody does, you get targeted more when you're running slot routes. But yeah, they move him around enough that, it's possible. And with Kraft out, I think it's possible you get even more Dobbs out of the slot, but they have a lot of holes to fill now with Reed out, with Golden out. I think Dobbs would still mostly be out wide here, even if they do move him around occasionally.
Yeah, I think so too. Also, Quinyon Mitchell has played. Hold on. Quinyon Mitchell on the season. Yeah, 4 snaps in the slot. Just doesn't happen. And then they just signed they just traded for Michael Carter, who also lives in the slot. So yeah. But it's not like you have an easy matchup against DeJean either. Again, though, on a showdown slate, I try not to worry too much about that. Chris Olave had a brutal matchup against J.C. Horn yesterday, and J.C. Horn slipped and fell and Olave ended up having a 62-yard touchdown on it. So that stuff just happens all the time where, what is it really? I mean, obviously it matters, but on a single game slate, I don't try and focus too much on that at all, Spags, because, if that ends up happening and I'm super underweight on Dobbs, I wouldn't be loving that. What about Wicks though? And guys like Malik Heath and and Savion Williams, those type of guys?
I'm not super excited about Savion Williams, though he did play just shy of 20 snaps last week when you'd have Wicks out. I think that basically what happens is Golden's going to vacate. Obviously, if vacate his 25 or so snaps, I think Wicks takes most of those, if not all of them. Then Savion picks up like 15 to 20, obviously relative to whatever rates. If the Packers play a ton more snaps, then it should go up. But that's my expectation, is that Wicks immediately just takes Golden's snap count, but maybe not the exact routes, because Watson's going to take probably some of the better, Golden downfield routes. Wicks is a good target earner. I just don't think the role is super valuable for him. 21% target per out run, 3.3 targets a game. He'll be out there. He has previously, last year was a 30% target per out run rate guy with Jordan Love. So maybe he can kind of spike that ceiling again. But I think the pecking order to me is like Dobbs should be your clear number one out of the wide receivers. Watson, I would say to be a clear number two. Wicks / Savion Williams, I would put Wicks a little bit ahead, but I think Musgrave is really the most interesting one, because when Kraft went out last week, it was 3 targets for Musgrave. Musgrave, not a good yak guy, but he is a big-bodied freak athlete tight end, and we should be more of a downfield weapon. I like Musgrave a lot this week, Lofty. I don't know, I'm kind of, they all have a case to be made, I think, but I think out of the shittier guys that we don't play very often, I think Musgrave has a shot to ascend immediately.
I do too. I mentioned it on the strategy show today, but he was drafted ahead of Tucker Kraft. They liked Tucker. They liked both of those guys, and they do that a lot. They did it with Williams and Aaron Jones and stuff like that. But yeah, I think he immediately jumps in. Also, not the greatest matchup for him. You have some great cover tight ends, or linebackers for the Philadelphia Eagles. But again, it doesn't matter. I'm just looking for guys that I think can get immediate volume on a slate like this. I'm really not trying to look too far past anything else. The absence of Tucker Kraft is massive. And even Matthew Golden being out is going to open some things up, whether he's been effective or not. And the answer is not. But, still a guy playing 70 or so % of snaps every week. You're vacating a lot of opportunities to be on the field. So if I were to ask you this, how do you think that role gets filled? I mean, Dobbs played 92% last week. He's a mainstay. We don't have to worry about that. I think you probably get Watson to 75, maybe even 80% of snaps in a game like this. Now that he's a few more weeks removed from that injury and from that rehab, how do you see it being filled by guys like Heath and Savion Williams? And Wicks, who was out 2 weeks. I forgot about Wicks. Sorry, Spags. He was out 2 weeks.
Yeah, the tough part for me is none of these guys. I mean, Savion, I think, does grade out as a yak guy. They've tried to give him some carries, some reverses this year. I know some of the guys in my Splash Play chat love Savion in college. He's a good after the catch guy, was also a good target earner, but just didn't really put it all together in a meaningful way. Maybe he will now some more opportunity there. But I don't think they have a guy who replaces Kraft easily. Musgrave to me is interesting because he is a downfield target as a tight end. And I think there's a shot he could pick up some of what Golden leaves behind, because he is a guy that can get downfield and can also win contested balls and stuff like that. But he's really not a yak guy. I don't think you'd use him in a Kraft way. John Fitzpatrick, the other tight end there. You also might get Josh Wiley a little bit, a former Titans tight end. Neither guy is a great after the catch guy, but I suppose one of them could get that role. But I think they're just missing that opportunity. Kraft was a guy you could throw the ball to close to the line of scrimmage and know that he'll get you something after that. I don't think any of these guys really can. If I were to guess, I'm with you. I think Watson probably gets the biggest uptick, and they might give Musgrave some routes that are outside his comfort zone, low ADOT stuff that he can run after. But that role just might be gone in the Green Bay offense. Kraft was the only guy who was good at it.
It feels that way, man. Kraft was so nasty after the catch. I mean, just ridiculous. I'm looking at our exposures now to the flex position. Savion Williams, 7%, Wilson, 12%. We're well under the field on him. We do have 15% Fitzpatrick at 1,600. I mean, I guess it's not crazy. He should see some work. You see last week, Kraft only played 50% around 50% of snaps. And Fitzpatrick has been out there 30 or so % of the time. So he's a warm body, if nothing else. Malik Heath, $3,000, fair price point, 15% of him, totally get it. I do All right. So let's do this. Behind Musgrave, Watson, and Dobbs. Do we agree that those are the top 3 targets on Green Bay?
Yeah. I think we're on the same page fully with that.
Okay. I hate to just be, chalky here because based on the salaries. It would be Wicks for me. I mean, he does have a history of having a rapport with Jordan Love. And, I would assume that they're still going to work him into this offense pretty significantly. And he already actually was before he got hurt. And then his snaps started to trend down a little bit. But I still think Wicks probably has a semi-prominent role, all things considered here.
Yeah, I think he gets like 25 snaps today, which I would guess is ahead of Savion. But like I think Wicks to me, like Musgrave, I think people might view Wicks and Musgrave as like a similar play. I think Musgrave gets a lot more opportunity from the jump than I would assume Wicks does, but that's my personal lean.
Well, we're getting more exposure to Musgrave.
Yeah.
And he is the same projected ownership, at least the pool ownership in the Sims run. So, yeah. And then a lot of Hurts, Love, Jacobs up top, Barkley, Dobbs. I do actually like kickers in this game as well. I could absolutely see this. These are 2 good football teams. And when you get games like this, I say it all the time with teams like when the Chiefs face the Bills, right? And some of these games where it's just 2 very quality teams, you could see it just evolve into a shootout or devolve into a defensive battle. And it's like a 2017 game, or I guess give me some low numbers that would be more representative of a lot of field goals, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like a 16-19 game, Spags, something that's played in between the 20s. I could see that being the case today. Maybe the cold weather makes you not as much on them, but I'm not super worried about that.
You're not getting the swirling winds that some of the games had this weekend that were so bad and like they weren't even attempting field goals. Like the Giants Bears game, that was actually one thing. Some maybe keep in mind next time we have a weather game. But people were like so afraid of that Bears game. It's like, oh, it's cold, it's windy. The reality was they went for 4th downs more than any teams have in a game. Like I think this entire season because they couldn't kick field goals. But the weather in this one today is like 10 miles per hour wind. It's going to be cold, so the ball will be a little bit harder. But they could kick in 10 mile per hour winds pretty easily if they want.
Yeah, there was something like they what was it? They had like 7 fourth. Those 2 teams, Giants and Bears, went for it on 4th down 7 times in the first quarter or something insane like that.
Yeah, I believe they had more non-converted 4th downs than any team had attempted 4th downs in the first half or something, but I might be misquoting that. But there were like some weird stats of it because they both kept going for it and not getting it pathetically over and over again. It was terrible.
Caleb, what's up, dude? Watson or Dobbs in a tournament? Laffy, Dobbs' ceiling seems extremely limited. He's only over 20 once on FanDuel, and it took 3 touchdowns. That was the Dallas game, right? Yeah, I mean, also Tucker Kraft was playing in that game as well. So I don't know. In a tournament, it's hard to say, man. Like if you're playing one lineup in the lotto, I would fire on Christian Watson just because I do think the potential deep ball touchdown is available there. But, it's still hard to say because Watson could have 2 for 60 and a touchdown, and that gets him to 14. But then Dobbs could have 6 catches for 80, and he's still at 14. So I don't know. They're just very different players, Spags. And I sure you might want to take the savings on Dobbs, but it depends on your build. There's a whole lot that goes into something like this. If you're playing one lineup in a single entry, I don't know. I like both of them, honestly. I don't think there's a right answer.
Yeah, I think Dobbs, projection wise, snaps wise, all that stuff, like Dobbs is the better play, but he'll be owned more and people will be more comfortable with him as a play. So that sort of puts me more on taking Watson. But if you're playing 20 maxes, if you're playing a 150 max, you should have more ownership to Dobbs, but you should have Watson, I would think, above the field is sort of how I would try to play it.
Einstein, Darius Cooper as a punt in the lotto. I mean, that's getting wild. If you're looking to go to Darius Cooper, I assume Einstein, he's active. I assume he's active. He's there. For those of you guys unaware, he was the preseason stud in Philly this summer. Big time preseason performance. Him and Tanner McKee, but I probably not. Like he's still going to be behind even guys like Jahan Dotson. I know Mechie's gone, so maybe that's the idea here. You want to take, I mean, sure, dude. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the idea because I know how these things go. Darius Cooper is going to end up having a 7-yard touchdown in a 14-17 game, and he's going to be optimal. But I personally don't have any right now, Einsteinian.
Yeah, he came up a little bit in the sim with the rest of the cheap guys like Wiley, Granson, coming up 1%. Calcaterra is a legit guy. Fitzpatrick, even though he's not, I'm expecting Musgrave to be the lead tight end. Fitzpatrick is a legit guy. Those guys are coming up more, but in terms of like the not a legit guy tier, Cooper at least is picking up 1% ownership. So he's no worse than anybody else there at $200.
Yeah. He has a pulse. That's the least you can say, right?
Yeah, that's probably all you can say for him.
Gabriel is just spamming chat with how bad the Packers are. I don't know why I don't think the Packers are going to drive the field. I don't know. They're favored in this game.
There's a reason people keep building casinos in Vegas. That is part of it. But I agree. I think the public sentiment is not in favor of the Packers today. And that's why for a showdown, I think you want to play a little more Packers personally.
As an Eagles fan, I wouldn't hate it. Gabriel, I'd be okay with that. I'd like the Eagles to win this game. But also, the Packers are still like this is what I'm saying. I think there's this misconception that the Eagles are 7-point road favorites.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing that stands out to me with showdown slates where it's like everybody's playing, let's say, defenses and kickers and whatever. And it's like the total's 48. Like, why are we doing that? Those kind of incongruities stand out to me. And I think just, again, having done content myself today, I watched some other streams, see people are talking about. I think for Green Bay, people are really down on Green Bay and they don't trust Green Bay in the receiving core. And if you're thinking that Green Bay gets their ass kicked, great. You're probably playing things very similar to a lot of the field and also totally ignoring the Vegas total, which as Laffy mentioned, is currently Green Bay being a favorite.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, you want to take a look at some captain exposures here?
I can think of nothing I wish to do more in the world, Laffy.
That is strange, but I guess you're in the right place. Right? I mean, I think you are in the right place, brother.
Right where I want to be. Looking at
man.
captain exposures.
Before we do, though, can I just tell people how to get the Sims for free? Because we had some monster wins. We had a Stokastic avatar and a Stokastic sub took down the FanDuel millie. It wasn't a millie up top. It's 200K yesterday. Took that down, though, Spags. Was lovely to see that. You've just seen so many of these recently. Like, look at this. Winning 19, 200K. There was another 35K that's not up here. But so many big wins recently that I'm honestly having trouble keeping track of them. Last week, $100,000. And the one thing I say about the link join that we have, Spags, which is how you sign up through our sports books, right? Through our partners. And you get a free month of the Sims. It's $130 if you're paying out of pocket for the core NFL or any sport you want Sims. With this, you literally make a deposit with the link in the description. That's it. You click that link. And after you click that link, all you have to do, I will show you right here. So you see this, the 4 steps, click claim offer on any of these. And if you're not in a legal sports betting state, don't worry. Onyx is a sweepstakes book. It's available in 40 plus states. You still have Better, you still have Sleeper, you still have Underdog, you still have Pick 6. Click claim offer, sign up on whatever it is that you want. Every single one of these equals a new month of the Sims. So if you signed up on 3 of them, you could run 2 NFLs consecutive through the new year, and you could have a month of the NBA core Sims as well. Just sign up, deposit $5 or $10 minimum on all these books or sweepstakes books or DFS sites. Place a bet or a lineup on the DFS ones. Then just take screenshots of that welcome email and first settled bet after it settles and email us, not them, at support@stokastic.com. Let us know what you want. When you hit Ron up at support@stokastic.com, he's super good at getting back to everybody quick. To streamline the process and get those Sims in your possession immediately, let him know which sports you want and which books you signed up on so he can knock that out right away and find you within the system. But that's all there is to it, Spags. And I will say, when I see people that are low stakes players, like this guy, what did he play? $15 in the play action, took first place for $2,000. This guy, where is it? Pedro played $1 in the quarter jukebox, took 300 ROI. For low stakes players, mid stakes players, or people that just don't want to pay out of pocket, nothing better out there in the entire industry as a way to get access to tools.
Oh yeah, I mean, just the success we see people having is also awesome to hear. But really, yeah, for me more than anything, if you just want to be competitive with what the industry is right now, using the Sims, getting in there, it's obviously one thing to see Lofty piloting it here. When I do it on my streams, whoever else is doing it here at Stokastic, to have your own hands in there and be able to play with things, see how it works, understand how lineups go together, what makes a lineup good, what makes a lineup bad. It is so valuable just to have that. And like, frankly, if you're not doing that in 2025, that might be why you lose a lot of slates.
Yeah, man. So come check it out. It's no joke. You could get 3 months for like 15, 20 bucks. Plus all the bonus bets you're getting in deposit matches on all of those books, which should not be ignored either. Anyway, all right, let's get back to this captain exposure here. Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Barkley. I know it's smoothed out. I did run 2 uniques. I don't know how much I want to change it. I do like all of those guys at captain today, and I'm not sure I want to take a firm stand on any of them. The only thing I did boost Christian Watson captain ownership just to get a little bit above the field, which was at 4.5%.
Yeah, I did a similar thing for Watson. I ended up getting 10%. It was really a flat sim run for me where Hurts, Barkley, Jacobs, Love, and Romeo Dobbs all around 15%-ish ownership. Let's say 12 to 15 to get that right. It did stand out to me that A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, like really getting overlooked on the slate. I did play some of those guys at captain as well, just to try to get some exposure there. But I think it seems like a pretty clear top 5 where it's going to be a lot of Hurts, Saquon, Jacobs, Love, Dobbs, captain. And the Love part, honestly, like you're getting in the sim. I do wonder if people play Love as much as the 12% I'm getting in the sim right now. Fields at 10. I think Love comes in a little bit under personally.
Me too, and I'm okay with it. I'll probably if he comes in under, I'll probably be a little bit over. Just based on everything you and I talked about. I think Christian Watson would probably be my one kind of contrarian, not mega contrarian captain, but definitely want some of him there. Do you have any other captains that you might have some interest in that are kind of going overlooked, maybe underowned?
I took Musgrave too. I took basically Musgrave and Watson at a little bit under 10%. So try to get more than the field there without going crazy. I got Wicks at 3%, which I don't think. No, I'm a little bit under where the field is and where the sim is. So for Wicks, tried to get some, didn't go crazy there. But really for me, the main thing is like I took a heavy stand on Jordan Love, went 2x the field for myself because the sim was only giving me 12. Went a little bit heavier on Dobbs. And I tried to get a little taste of everybody at captain because I think sim-wise, the sim to me really seems to want you to play, your top projected guys, everybody who's like 15 fantasy points or higher, and Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah, man. I will. I'm rerunning the sims right now just so everyone's still hanging out, Spags, because we updated. We just updated everything again. Don't worry, you're fine if you're. I can't imagine all that much has changed.
Yeah, now it's played the exact opposite of what you were playing before.
Yeah. Oh God, I hate Jordan Love at captain today.
Oh, there's so much of him. Everybody's playing Jordan Love. Forget the entire last hour.
He looks awful. Yeah, no. Oh wait, we had a comment too. Took down Monday Night Football Minimax in a 3-way chop last night. Nice, man. Also solo shipped NFL early mini and chopped first in NBA Minimax yesterday. That's a huge win. The Minimax is definitely a way to, I mean, look, it's a large field, but it's definitely a way to be able, people ask me like, oh, I play $100 a week. What should I do? I would play the Minimax and the first down or whatever it is, or the quarter jukebox, max those things. Wouldn't you much rather have spread out exposure if you only have limited amount of funds to use each week?
Yeah, I love playing the lotto too. Like I don't max out the Millie Maker. I'll throw a few entries in for every slate. But I do think in general, the rule of thumb that Osmo Alex Baker had said many moons ago, which always stuck with me, was that you should be trying to max out the tournaments you can afford. Your best EV is always going to be you're getting in 150 in a tournament where you can afford 150 and everybody else is playing 150. That's the general rule of thumb. And I think there's like some weird pride things / people obviously the big prizes in the large tournaments, but for playing the mini max, getting your game down to a science. There's a lot of Stokastic users that have had that, been a thing where like, I think Sean Jeezy, I don't want to misquote, but like, I feel like he killed it. Mini maxes and 20 maxes. Then he had enough bankroll, started attacking the larger tournaments. And that happens with a lot of users where like, you want to kind of work your way up if you can, and you can be patient enough to do that.
Definitely. Sean Jeezy is one of the best examples of that. Matt, great point. Laffy, plenty of stream choices in chat so you can watch the game. How did I not think of that?
Yeah, we are banning these guys left and right. It's like it's kind of a fun game where it's like who can get to it first. You can click them out.
Yeah, don't ban them next time. I need to click. I should just try it.
I don't trust these sites. I bet if should we go to the
not.
spam site right now? What's NFLHD.com that they're spamming us about?
Emacs, stop banning them. I need Pardeshi Taz link.
Oh, wow. So the link they're putting in actually is one where you pay online for some sort of dubious NFL streaming product.
Okay. Yeah, maybe next time.
You give them your credit card, Lofty. That'll go well.
Tarnitzer, thank you. Pretty cool breakdown. Thanks for checking it out, man. Absolutely. Anyway, appreciate you guys. You are all the best. Any questions you ever have, you can DM me. I don't know if Spags DMs are open, but he does have a channel over on YouTube. It's right? Well, because before
Play Pod, yeah.
I know, but I'm saying before I got the part wrong. I had Splash Play Pod right, but you have to is everything
yes, there's yeah, like because Stokastic is at Stokastic DFS. Yeah, they're all ats on YouTube.
I feel like it didn't used to be that way.
No, it used to be like you had a weird URL thing, but then they changed. It's like I think it's been a couple of years though, but yeah, they did change it at some point.
At Splash Play Pod, check it out.
Thank you, Lofty.
Appreciate you guys. You're the best. Go follow me at Lofty. Follow me on Tails, man. 7,500 followers now. Thank you to all of you. Greatly appreciated. We're having fun. We got free bets. We got free DFS content. We put out DFS lineups from the perfect lineup in there. A ton of other stuff. A lot of great, sharp minds. And they're just handing out a ton of free content. So if you're not there yet, do it. Seriously, do it during the game. Go ahead down there, click, or just go download the Tails app. Leave a rating and a review if you love it. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. First Look Strategy Show, 10 a.m. sharp. Well, sharp part to be determined, but 10 a.m. Eastern time is when we're scheduled to start. Anything else, Spags?
Yeah, I feel like you said a 10:03. At the 10:03 sharp, you're usually good for that.
I haven't changed it to 10:03 because if I do, then it'll be 10:06.
Yeah, no, that's
what I'm saying.
That's how you start at 11. No, and you got Josh now doing 3-hour videos in the morning along.
I know. I know. The problem is, like you set your alarm clock earlier, you just know you can snooze it longer. So, no, we do our best. At least we think so. Bye-bye.